Okay, so in this video I just wanted to do kind of a quick little video of some of my kind of features which I think are cool about the FM3, which I think are sort of fairly unique. So the first one, we've got this new performance page. This came with the new firmware, and so what this means is, so back in the older days, I guess, to make changes to your preset, if you were doing it on the fly, say, I don't know, I want to change the mix of delay or reverb, what I'd have to do is go in there and page across to the basic page and then make that edit there. And you know, potentially on a gig that might take you a little while to figure out what's going on, or you know, equally for something like amp settings, you could scroll along here and then next page across and you go, okay, for this gig I want a few more mids or whatever. However you decide you're going to do these things. But now we have, if we go to this first page, if you go across, you can have a performance page per preset, or like here you've got this global performance page, and so I've got my amp settings right here, and so this might be actually really useful for some folks. So I can make quick settings to the preset, and I think you can have 10 different parameters. You can create these in the FM edit, but I think that's really quite powerful. I think the Boss GT1000 might do something similar to this. I think you can have sort of 3 parameters on the front page for the knobs, but this is kind of powerful. So just again quickly, performance settings, so you can set this up to be whatever you want, whatever parameters you want to change. So I've got a delay 1 mix and I've got a reverb mix, so kind of powerful, but you could have that to be whatever you like, obviously. So amp settings, I suggest, are probably useful, and reverbs and delay mixes could also be useful for gigging. And then to get back, you go to page across to your normal kind of view. Another thing that I think is really useful, if you go into setup, you've got these global settings and you can turn off certain aspects. So you could turn off your cabinet modeling globally or bypass it, which could be potentially super useful if you're deciding, I'm going into a cab today, or I'm going into a tube power amp and cab. You can turn off power amp modeling and you can turn off cabinet modeling globally, and I think that's kind of useful. Don't forget if you've got that turned on though, because I do forget that sometimes. You've got global controls for spillover, which is kind of cool as well. You've got a thing here so you can prompt edited preset changes, so that could be useful for making sure that you don't move off of a preset without saving it, so I'm going to keep that on. and you can turn off now this tone control display between ideal and authentic. So authentic will be roughly what the knobs on the actual unit that you're using are. So like if it was a Bogner Shiva and there's no presence on it or whatever, or a Fender Princeton and there's no presence on that, you wouldn't have that. But if you change to ideal, you can have these virtual amps but with controls that aren't on the actual thing, which could be useful. Then one last thing that I think is really cool and useful is having this metronome. So if you're a practicer like me, that's a useful thing to have. So hopefully those are maybe one or two things you didn't already know about, but probably you already did, but just little things that I think are cool about the FM3, aside from obviously the good sounds and everything. Just little features like that which I think only come with an experienced kind of modeler, or a modeler from a team which have been doing this for a while. Maybe these kind of things which are really useful for gigging and for making kind of global adjustments on the fly without having to go into every preset and make changes. Yeah. Anyway, here's some more guitar playing.